The Professional Standards Committee of Sussex Police Authority held its latest meeting on the 7th of July 2010. 5 days later, a webcast which started some way into agenda item 8 became available, the rest being lost, it is said, because of a technical error. Further incompetence led to slides which were supposed to be available for an agenda item 9 presentation failing to appear. Bull had replaced Bratton as chairman and seemed to have involved the police more closely in the running of the committee. The slideless presentation for agenda item 9 by the policeman in charge of custody spoke of complaints from people taken into custody, illustrated by examples, none serious, like
complaint alleges that whilst dealing with her son, the officer made uncivil comments.
The only point of interest was that the speaker revealed a little of the backstage preparations for the meeting.
This presentation followed a meeting between the chairman, Mr. York, and myself and others, where we were talking about complaints against particular departments and how it may be useful for the committee if I came along and explained the complaints against my department.
This is how the webcast starts, in the middle of the first contribution to agenda item 8, complaints against the police.
Could see we're going to potentially be long running, and sure enough, 12 months later, you know, the file is that thick, and each complaint, each contact with the police subsequently meant another complaint. You know, it just snowballed.
The chairman responds.
Perhaps we need to contact our partner organisations just to share whether or not a particular complainant is known to them. In other words, whether this really is someone that spends their lives complaining about everything. Now, whether that in any way helps us to deal with that particular complaint or not, but at least by sharing that information, we might be in a better position to deal with those querulous people.
Did you notice how pleased Bull was with his expression of disapprobation? How he looked to Deputy Chief Constable York for approval, and how readily that was given?
Querulous people.
Other speakers, like the first of two Daniels come to judgment, take up the querulous epithet. The first Daniel sees herself as a champion of the unempowered.
On querulous complainants, where I'm saying I'm interested in disabilities and mental health in terms of logging that issue from complainants, I suppose what I want to understand is there a disproportionality in the amount of people complaining?
The message seems to be that the mentally ill need special consideration. After Walker has suggested they consult other police forces about their experience, the second Daniel cancels out the first.
That's the one thing, it's almost impossible to kind of, ask the question, isn't it? How is your mental health? You can just imagine the reaction. And I personally believe that none of us are 100% mentally well. In the end of the day, prime purpose of policing is to keep people safe, not just answering bits of paper and questions. And that braveness, I think, that courage to actually say, we have done all we've can. This is our fine, full stop. Thank you very much. Good night, Vienna. It's what perhaps we have to do more of.
Councillor Daniels' conclusion only repeats what the Chief Constable had already said a year previously, on the 30th of July 2009, after a tirade from Bull about people he called
professional complainers.
There is a standard form of letter which says, in response to the third persistent complaint, I will not be responding to any further. Yours sincerely. Now, I'm not sure if I'm on the detail here, so I've whispered that to Giles as well, so we'll look at that as a prospect.
It is the job of the police, not the authority, to deal with serial complaints. The authority should be examining whether the force deals with complaints fairly, and to do that they need to rid themselves of the unspoken assumption or pretense that some of these complainants are not victims of police dishonesty and malpractice. I'll end with agenda item 11, European Forum for Urban Safety. It is about a subject which should cause concern. We'll start with the unelected enemy of complainants, Walker.
We now seem to be, almost, well, not world leaders, but certainly within Europe, have become, good practice, best practice for something that is really, really important.
What is that something? The European Forum for Urban Safety, or Security, depending on the translation, was established in Barcelona in 1987. It has since grown to have 300 members, only 2 of whom are clearly from the UK, Kingston upon Thames, and, very oddly, the only occurrence of the word police in the whole list, Nottinghamshire Police Authority. According to the Forum, its members are local, regional and national authorities, non-governmental organisations involved in crime prevention, and universities. Only elected local and regional authorities have full membership. A couple of years ago, individuals within that organisation began work on a charter which would provide guarantees that protect citizens' privacy and fundamental liberties. This requirement is enshrined in Article 8 of the European Convention for the Protection of Human Rights and Fundamental Freedoms. The project led to a final conference which marked its completion. The mayors of Rotterdam and Saint-Herblain were the first to sign up to the 7 principles of the Charter, and 6 others from the 300 followed suit. The preamble to the Charter states that the project involves, apart from experts from academia, the cities of Genoa, Rotterdam, Liège, Le Havre, Ibiza and Saint-Herblain, and the regions of Veneto and Emilia-Romagna. The list ends with 2 non-members of the Forum, the Metropolitan Police, a force with an outstanding record for corruption, and Sussex Police. Sussex Police Authority is not mentioned, so when Walker says we are leading Europe, she perhaps means Sussex Police and its supporters. Sussex Police were invited to explain their use of public CCTV to the group, but that does not mean that the group was seeking leadership from a country whose policing methods have been condemned on more than one occasion by the European Court of Human Rights. Far from inviting Sussex Police to Rotterdam as exemplars of best practice, the project was simply investigating all types of practice, with Sussex Police conceivably exemplifying the worst, practice to avoid, as most people would not consider the police to be the people most suited to safeguarding human rights. What part did Sussex Police play in the 1.5-day Rotterdam conference? The Sussex Police Head of Communications chaired a round-table discussion lasting possibly an hour, in which the chair of the police authority was one of 4 other participants. This document has 18 pages, the Charter taking up only 10 of them. At the Sussex Police Authority meeting, the chairman asked whether the individuals monitoring the police's monitoring of CCTV would be given copies of the Charter. The lead member of the authority responsible for the operation, who did not go to Rotterdam, said this: "Bear in mind as you watch that the Charter requires that a controlling authority should guarantee adherence to the Charter's principles."
I want to slightly disagree. I'm not sure the Charter itself is perhaps the right conduit. I think it might be good to perhaps just write a letter to the independent CCTV visitors, just saying about the conference, how well it's gone down, that we'd be hosting things. I think it's more accessible, really. The Charter. I mean, having read the Charter, I'm not sure what most people are going to make of it as such. I just think probably a letter, perhaps from the chairman who spoke, in Holland on this. I was offered the opportunity to go over there as well, and I declined on the grounds that if Laurie was going, I thought there was enough money being spent. I quite like Holland, but that's another story. But I just think that might be a more tangible and accessible way of doing it, really, and then perhaps saying that there is the Charter, and perhaps it's probably going to be on the website or somewhere, drawing attention to where it is, might be an easier and a more positive kind of way of doing it.